right, for most high school athletes across the city, this week, the spring sports regular season will come to a close, which means a postseason play starts soon. We got almost 4 months until the football season kicks off, but the 2016-17 season will kick off pretty soon, but we're not in a rush for football, right? Public school athletic schedule is out already, and we'll also get into that. But joining me this week is Elio Velez, MSGVarsity.com, my man.
Good to see you, man.
I ain't seen you since the Jordan Classic.
Absolutely, right?
Right? And also joining me is Joe Staszewski, right? From the sports editor for Community News Group. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
All right, baseball season, matter of fact, most of the games will wrap up today, right? Wednesday. And we're here on the 18th of May. How does the postseason look? We have Grand Street Campus, who's also one of the powerhouses, right? We have also Telecom. We have several schools, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn, we have some really good schools who, Brooklyn and Grand Street, Madison, Midwood, Telecom. Those are schools the last few years that have been making some noise, and I think this year is a wide open PSAL, so those teams have a chance. Grand Street's been putting together last month, had some tough losses against Tottenville and Severian, and the other day to Poly Prep, so they're in it.
And also Grand Street's in the AAA Southeastern Conference.
Right. I think they've differentiated themselves, at least from that group so far. Great pitching, head of the division, Madison, Telecom, Midwood have kind of been in the middle of the pack and beat up on each other, but any one of those teams on any given day can beat anybody right now.
Let's also look at the AAA North. We have James Monroe Campus, one of the top teams up there in the Bronx, and also Lehman and also Taft Educational Campus.
Yeah, it's been a tough year for the rest of the division, but Monroe has done their job. I mean, they won another division. They beat George Washington, their rivals the other day, so they should get the number 2 seed in the playoffs. And we're looking at right now the top seeds are pretty much finished off themselves here now. Townsville should get the number 1, Monroe will be the 2, and we got other fights to go.
It's going to be a fun playoff. We'll see if Tottenville can do it again. I mean, they might have the best overall staff in the PSAL. Monroe was the 1 seed last year, got knocked out in the semis. They're pretty hungry, that group right now.
And Grand Street lost to Cardozo, right, in the second round last year, so they're on a tear.
Grand Street's trying to get back to where they were. They won the championship 2012. Melvin Martinez, you see that, one of the best coaches in the city, and he's going to get that group hungry, and he reminds them, it's been a while that we won the championship, got to get back there.
2012.
Yeah.
We also have a league, the AAA Western, where we have Beacon High School, Norman Thomas.
Beacon's very, very good school. They've beaten Cardozo. They're a very young team. They have a chance to threaten. And Norman Thomas had a few struggles, but Nerva, John Pierre, their good coach, he's getting them going right now.
Cardozo is still the team that they're loaded with talent, ton of pitching. They can really hit. We have to see what they do against some of the top teams and some really good competition. But if they put it all together, maybe they're the team now this year.
Also in the AAA, we also have a high school for construction.
They beat Cardozo this year, played them really tough twice. That's one of those teams kind of in that Midwood, Madison, Telecom range that you just don't want to catch them on certain days.
Now, softball, we have to look at Madison. I mean, Madison has always had a powerhouse program, especially in this region and throughout the New York City area.
Their Hartford-bound pitcher, Isabella Jerome's been one of the best pitchers in the city probably since her sophomore year. She's got a new pitching motion, got a new pitching coach, and she's added a couple of miles per hour to the fastball. If her team plays well behind her, they could go back to the semis and maybe make a run at it.
Telecom has been trying to fight for that division, but Madison's found a way to beat them the last couple of years. But they have a very good pitcher, Talia Santiago. She's very good. I mean, she's throwing harder this year, and they have a chance. In a 1 game, you don't want to face her on the mound.
What about Tottenville?
Just on Telecom, their defense is better this year than it's been in the last couple of years, and that's really given them a chance. And we talked about that with Glenn McCartney early in the year, and he agreed, with us. Tottenville, Staten Island's loaded right now. I mean, they might be the 4 best teams, and we'll see with Tottenville, Curtis, Susan Wagner, and defending champion Port Richmond. Obviously, Tottenville, you expect them to be there every year, but if they have to face one of their other Staten Island schools, or we'll see what happens.
PSL may just give them the top 4 seeds. I mean, it's rare. You never see one borough get, but they might just get the top 4 seeds there, and they've all beaten each other this year, so it's very competitive.
I'm going to switch over to a subject that I've been noticing, especially the last 4 or 5 years. It seems like, especially on the basketball side, that most scholarship athletes that are getting these scholarships, or who are renowned, in this region basketball-wise, are staying locally. I mean, you had the thing with Isaiah Whitehead. He's at Seton Hall, Rodriguez, and now here you have Ponders going to St. John's and Rashid Dunn going to St. Francis. Is this a new trend? Do you see that ball players are staying locally? Are they, because of the media coverage? You get pretty good media coverage now.
I think it's a promising sign that St. John's with Chris Mullen has gotten there. He's done a good job getting to know the coaches, getting to know the AAU coaches, getting to know the programs, and he's given them an option of staying home when they didn't have before.
But has the advent of Chris Mullen's coming to New York City, has he forced some of these coaches to take a look indirectly, to take a look and to maybe start scouting talent here locally a little more than they were previously?
Right, but that's what they've needed to do for a long time. But the previous, coaches just didn't do that. They didn't look at New York City as an option for some reasons or whatever it is. But Chris Mullen has said, we're going to focus on New York City. We're going to focus on the talent around. Also in New Jersey as well. He's making a big splash. He's offered a lot of kids from around. So already you could see he's making the bedrock. He's putting a bedrock. He's making the inroads in.
Joe?
I think some of this is, now that I thought about it, is some of these programs are better. I mean, look what Manhattan did, 2 straight NCAA tournaments. St. Francis almost made the NCAA tournament again. LIU's been to NCAA tournaments. Fordham's had their ups and downs, but still a viable location. And Wagner now, and these schools have now become maybe even more attractive destinations for kids to stay home than they were in past years. And obviously St. John's is even more attractive with Chris there now.
All right, but football-wise, they're continuing to go away. They're continuing to leave.
In basketball, yes, we've seen it. I think that the top kids. I mean, we went to the Nike what do you call it? The EYBL tournament up in Brooklyn. Day after Jordan Classic, and we saw some great kids who played for the PSA Cardinals and New York Rens, and some of those kids are just not staying in New York City. They go to schools in in New England or down south. But they're great talents. Those guys who were rated by Kentucky, we saw North Carolina, we saw all the coaches there. They're looking at those kids, but they don't play here. But I think there's still enough talent here in New York City, and if St. John's and those programs can get it, they can be competitive.
That's basketball. What about football?
Football, I think part of it is we've had some coaching changes at Rutgers. We've had some coaching changes at UConn. We've had coaching changes at Syracuse. And those schools for a while were gobbling the city kids up. You'd have 2 and 3 there go every year. I think that's hurt them a little bit as far as staying home. And obviously the high-level kids are still going to go to your Ohio States and Michigans and your BCS-level schools because they're just that opportunity up here just isn't there right now.
Yeah, I mean, you see with Erasmus Hall, Curtis Samuel, Josh Seaton Wint, those guys have, those top-level guys have gone to Ohio State. We got some.
And are shining, too.
And are shining. Listen, really Curtis Samuel's going to have a big year. This is his junior year. I think he's going to get a big-time push here. Also, poly prep, you got Isaiah Wilson, who's going to get looks. He's getting looks right out of the ACC by the SEC. Alabama's offered him. So those guys could get those looks.
Speaking of looks, Isaiah Whitehead. He looks like he may go in the draft. He may not go in the draft. What are you hearing? What are you hearing these days?
I think if Isaiah.
Matter of fact, for those of you who know, Isaiah Whitehead plays basketball at Seton Hall. He went to Lincoln High School. Now he's up for the draft. He's in his junior year right now, sophomore year. Sophomore year. So next year he could come back. He may not.
I think if Isaiah is not a first-round pick or somewhere in there, he should probably stay a little bit. He's gonna benefit from that. He's going to come back. He's probably going to be the preseason player of the year in the conference. He's on a team that's going to have plenty of attention around it. It's going to have some high expectations. Hopefully, we should go back to the NCAA tournament and another year of seasoning at the point guard position where he's obviously improved, and we saw it down the stretch last year. If he can do that, show that for a full season, I think he'll be fine.
But he had to test the NBA waters. I mean,
right,
you got to test the market.
The new rules allow kids
to dip your toe in the water without putting your full body.
Used to be before you had to worry about read the tea leaves and see whatever. But now he's actually getting looks and people talking to him. But if he's not a first-round draft pick, he should go back to school. And I think he also because he struggled his freshman year. They didn't make the tournament. That sophomore year he really became a point guard, a leader on the floor. I think if he does that next year, he could be top 10, top 15 pick.
It's a really great rule because off the year that he had and off the year that any kid had, you probably would go right off the year. I'm going to the draft, and because you're coming off the year. Right. Here it gave you the time to actually hear from people and get evaluated and make a much smarter decision.
All right, hey, you know what? We are a few months from now, but hey, the football season is going to kick off pretty soon. right?
Okay.
Grand Street will open up against Erasmus Hall. I know also we have Tottenville. They're opening up against South Shore.
Tottenville
Curtis.
Lincoln will open up against South Shore.
Sure,
Those
right.
I like how the PSAL does that with the Week 1 matchups. These are the key matches you saw in the playoffs. And, Grand Street coming back, they win the championship. They're going to be young, but, hey, they still got a lot to – they'll still get some kids into the building. I know that.
And speaking of that, we got the Boomer game coming up, right, next month. And pretty big game. The county on Long Island has been beating New York for the last, 4 or 5 years?
6 years.
So we got to look at this. There's been some talk here and there. Hey, maybe we should switch the game from Long Island. We'll play Jersey, or Long Island play some school upstate, and that sort of thing instead of New York City, because let's face it, they haven't been winning.
They haven't been winning, but hopefully there's a good future here. There's some young coaches coming in. I mean, C.J. O'Neill, who won the Catholic League Coach of the Year with Cardinal Hayes, is coming. These some new younger coaches, PSAL in the Catholic League, and I think you'll see that they'll bring in an infusion that maybe it's needed there.
I think the city will be fine. I think they just have to kind of look at how they've been doing some things, and obviously it hasn't worked. The talent's there. I think every time we walk, I think we walk in every year going like, they can win. There's a strength here. They just got to find a way to make it work in a very short period of time.
Last 5-10 years has been, we've seen a lot of schools, colleges, top colleges come to New York City and get kids. So they are there.
Gentlemen, I am out of time. But good luck on your new job.
Thank you very much.
The New York Post. And we hope to have you back again.
Hopefully be back soon.
I always hope to
I'll
have
see
you back.
you again.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Right.